Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. A work program is planned for our Finland property that contains diamond-bearing kimberlite. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ADD, and the Frankfurt Exchange, symbol 82A1. Please visit our website at arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Chris Vermeulen, his website, thegoldanoilguy.com. Welcome back to the show, Chris.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
What kind of action are we seeing on the markets today, and why are we seeing that action?
Yeah, well, we've seen a couple of days over the last week. We've seen some pretty good volatility in the market in terms of price. Not a couple of days ago, we saw a big drop in the markets and a big gap to the downside, and stocks rallied back to recover and ended up closing near the highs on the day. And then we pushed to all-time new highs on the equities market in the U.S. And here we are now, a couple of days later. We've had two big bouts of selling. And today, being Wednesday, we're seeing some heavy volume selling. Almost everything across the board is down. Stocks, commodities, safe havens, everything is trading lower today. And the VIX is up significantly. And I think a lot of that has to do with kind of the pattern that's been unfolding and market sentiment. What we're seeing today is fear in the market, and there really hasn't been any serious real profit taking for several months. Since late August, we saw a big rally start in large caps, and prices have continued to go up. And we've seen a couple blips of fear in the market, but today we actually have some pretty good panic selling. With if you were to look at the NYSE, there's a pretty big ratio of about at one point this morning it was 8-to-1, meaning 8 people were selling shares to every 1 person buying, more or less. And when we see that ratio over 3, we usually find some type of pivot low in the market. When we see it over 8, that means it's a very significant level in the market. And the question is, what is it going to do tomorrow and Friday in the equities market? Usually we see follow-through selling the following day. So we could very easily see a gap down tomorrow or another big bout of selling. And then we could actually see a fairly strong reversal back to the upside. Because what this is doing is cleansing the market. And right now, everyone is fearful. They're selling all their positions, including safe havens, because they don't know what to do. And when people are scared, they just kind of freeze, and they just start selling everything off. And that's what today feels like.
Now, what would you consider to be the safe havens?
It's really tough. Right now, the safe havens still continue to be really equities. Equities continue, every time they sell off, they recover, and they continue to grind to new highs. Right now, safe havens, typically bonds, gold, silver, mining stocks, and utilities, they're all trading down at a support zone. And, they're trading lower today because I think there's a lot of fear in the market, and people are just kind of dumping everything at this point. But overall, I think we are going to see the safe havens potentially firm up over the next couple of days once this fear this extreme fear dissipates and people aren't afraid of everything just crashing. We'll probably see precious metals and bonds kind of firm up a little bit, and I think we're going to continue to see some pretty big volatility, price action, big moves to the upside and downside intraday-wise on the stock market as it tries to stabilize here, because this is a pretty big move we've had in the last 3 trading sessions, and the level of volatility and the amount of selling, this usually doesn't just recover over one day. It takes a few days. So I think we could see safe havens firm up a little bit tomorrow while stocks continue to potentially make new lows and chop around for a while. But after that, it's kind of all bets off. I have a feeling the equities market could still have a fairly strong rebound and go back up to test near those highs that we've seen about a week ago.
Yeah, some people suggested to me that we were beyond the traditional period for a major correction for the fall, but it seems to me this market, once it started, and it was 9 years ago, basically, hasn't obeyed a lot of the rules.
No, it hasn't. It's really, there's been a lot of worry. The market climbs a wall of worry, and ever since 2009, it's just been one concern after another. It's new QE easing programs coming out, and they're compounding the issue, and everybody's kind of waiting for the bus or the music to stop and for everything to collapse. But and everybody's still worrying about that happening. And I wrote an article the other day talking about how it feels and looks like we are in kind of euphoria in the stock market. If you were to zoom way out on the weekly chart and look at this recent price action, it's starting to, this last big run we've seen since really Trump has got into place. If you look back and compare with QE, all the different QE programs, this last rally really isn't on a back of a QE program. This is pure speculative, pure everyone piling in, euphoria. And if you look at the market investor kind of psychology, this here is a people-driven rally to new highs without a lot backing it. The numbers don't make a whole lot of sense when it comes to earnings. We're in this last rally here where we still could see quite a bit of upside. You never know how long one of these are going to go. But I think we're on the last leg. This is the last big push in this, massive 9-year bull market that is fed by people and not so much QE. And I think, next year I think is going to be a whole different picture, and people are going to be kind of licking their wounds, and we could see a very big liquidation sale going on in equities, and the safe havens, bonds, all these things could really take off, including things like Bitcoin. All these digital currencies really kind of took shape after the 2008, 2009 crisis with currencies and countries going under because nobody can keep their things organized and pay their bills and stick with budgets. And that's what really spurred on these digital currencies. And another financial collapse, I think is going to be the icing on the cake. And digital currencies are going to go ballistic. And they already are and have gone ballistic. But they're still infant stage. Almost no one really even trades them or owns them yet. So there's going to be some huge changes taking place when this bull market comes to a grinding halt. And it's going to be a sharp reversal. And the question is just when are we going to get that? And then it's going to be lights out and, lower prices for, 2018.
Well, I've seen some headlines that scream cryptocurrencies scam of the century. Are you of that feeling?
I'm not. I think cryptocurrencies are great. I think everyone should own some. I own a bunch. I think, they're just kind of like a gold, another insurance plan, another asset class. It's diversification. They are, I think, going to be a big part of the world of finance, money transfer down the line, and I think people should be involved. There's still a big gray area. A lot of people don't fully understand how they work, and there's still loopholes for, these exchanges to get hacked and for you to wake up and your Bitcoin reading says 0 Bitcoins in your account or whatever the currency is. That still happens, but that happens in the finance world already. So, it just seems, I think things get blown out of proportion somewhat potentially with cryptocurrency just because it's new and people can pick on it. But our financial system is pretty corrupt the way it is. It's just we're so used to it.
And of course, real currency, so-called real currency, most of that's electronic anyway. There aren't really piles of cash sitting in a vault somewhere.
No, exactly. It's just a bunch of zeros and ones that just keep going through the computer system. All this is just fake money they just, you can create. So, there's some pretty cool currencies out there that are untraceable and they have no corporation backing it. So there's no one like Bitcoin. You can't sue the CEO and close them down, and you can't throw regulations at them. So, there's some really, really incredible ways to, transfer money or buy things or sell things. So I think the cryptocurrency is really going to get legs when we have the next financial crisis in the stock market. And I think that time is coming. The next 12 months I think is going to be a life changer for a lot of people, whether it's good or bad, unfortunately.
Would a person be able to just call up their financial advisor and say, get me into cryptocurrency?
No, it doesn't. I don't think it quite works that way. I know some of the banks like JP Morgan, they're working with other currencies like Ripple and all these different other types of cryptocurrencies that allow you to exchange stuff, but they're all being regulated because for banks to touch it, they need to have some type of regulation. So if you were to get into them, you're pretty much just walking into the same problem we have with the current financial system, and you really have to learn about it, watch YouTube videos, go to the currency you want to learn, go to their public website type thing and learn how to do it, and read about exchanges and how you just open an account with an exchange and a wallet, and you can, buy currencies, or you can even mine currencies and help process transactions on your computer to earn currencies in your wallet for free, other than you're swapping computer power. So it's really interesting. It's kind of more of a DIY kind of group of people, early adopters who really want to go out of their way to learn and do something that no one else is doing yet, and no one really is that comfortable with, the average person that is. So infancy stage, the next financial crash in the stock market, I think, and any regular currency issue is going to spark the cryptos to the moon, more or less.
We'll have more with Chris Vermeulen right after the break.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO, on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain's Brunswick property is located in the Rideout Shear Zone in Ontario, with grab samples running as high as 32 grams per ton gold. A follow-up drill program to test the numerous targets located by recent groundwork will commence later this year. Please visit our website at rmroyalty.com.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with Chris Vermeulen. Chris, what's going on with crude oil right now?
Yeah, crude oil, we last time we talked, crude oil and energy stocks were testing up near resistance. Energy stocks were actually forming potentially a topping formation. And actually today they finally have broken down through that topping formation, and they're moving down significantly lower today. And typically when we see energy stocks moving lower, they lead the price of crude oil. And if we look at crude oil is trading at resistance, a very significant level, which is this 52, 52.50 area. This is not only a previous high that it got shut down last time and we saw a sharp decline, but it's also a measured move. We're using Fibonacci, which is momentum kind of based, so it looks as though crude oil is on the verge of breaking down and selling down. And, that kind of bodes well with what the U.S. dollar is doing. The U.S. dollar index is building this inverse head and shoulders, ready to rally. And if it rallies, it will put some pressure on commodities, especially crude oil. So I think we're looking at weakness in crude oil and energy stocks over the next week.
Are you surprised that crude has remained as high as it has been over the last few weeks? Not really, because it's been in an uptrend since June, and it's got very bullish price action. So it has a lot of power and momentum behind it, which is why it's trading up at this resistance level. It's trying to break through it, very much so, but it just has yet to do it. And the fact that energy stocks have rolled over and reversed to the downside now has me thinking that, okay, this is probably a short-term top for crude oil, and it's likely to pull back. But again, I don't know how far crude oil is really going to pull back at this point, because it does still have a lot of buying power in it, a lot of buying pressure. So I think the better play here is actually to be short the energy sector for a few days and let this kind of unwind to the downside. And crude oil might only get a 2 or 3 day pullback as well before potentially it firms up, because these are still technically these stocks and oil are still in a strong uptrend. They're just having a correction after a nice rally here. So that's about all it is at this point. Saudi Arabia tried to convince the American shale producers to cut back to keep prices high. Did they have any success?
Yeah, obviously the price of oil is holding up really well. I don't know how their whole strategy plays out exactly in the end, but obviously all those oil producers want probably to have oil at a higher price now. It's been floundering down here since 2015, and crude oil. You and I have talked about this before. It's in a multi-year basing formation that we could see a huge rally when it does break to the upside. And of course, it needs to break $55 per barrel for that to happen. And it has yet to do that. But long term, crude oil is in a stage 1 basing formation, and when it starts to break, it's going to be, I think, a pretty big run up into the mid 80s. And I think it'll catch a lot of people off guard because I think a lot of people think crude oil's. This is what happens when crude oil was trading down in the 40s and 30s. People thought crude oil was never going to come back, and then it's kind of flatlined here in the 50s for the last, almost 2 years or year and a half. And it takes time for investors to get bored and to give up on something, and that's kind of what we're seeing more or less. We've seen volume kind of taper off the last little while, the last several months, and crude oil is just kind of oscillating here between that 55 and down around that 45 area, and people are starting to kind of ignore it. I don't really see a whole lot of people talking about this big pattern that's forming, which is very similar to the precious metals pattern. These are multi-year basing formations, and when they do break to the upside, we're looking for at least a year of strong rally mode in the market where you can pretty much buy any dip and look like a hero within a week or two later type of play. So,
was I correct in hearing you said 80?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what the long-term chart looks like when you zoom back multiple years here.
How long would it take for oil to get out of the low 50s to the $80 mark?
Well, once it breaks the 50s, it could actually scream there pretty quick. It could only take a couple months to really get back up into that area. Crude oil, these current commodities can rally pretty darn quick, and the size of the pattern and the oscillations that crude oil has, once you break 55, 80 is a good stretch, but it may only take a few months to get there. It all depends on how much momentum there is when it does break. But, I think it could be here sooner than people expect. The question is, when does the new bull market start? It could still trade in this basing formation for another year for all we know. So that's the kicker. You have to wait for a breakout and for the sellers who keep holding price down more or less to run out of selling or to give up on selling, and eventually to flip positions, and that's what triggers the breakout.
We'll have more with Chris Vermeulen right after this.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Keep informed. Receive our weekly recap of thought-provoking articles, podcasts, and radio delivered to your inbox for free. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage, HowStreet.com. Welcome back. We're speaking with Chris Vermeulen. Chris, if there's panic or near panic or something that looks like panic on the equity markets, what does that mean for gold and silver?
Typically, when we see fear in the markets, we see gold have a relief rally. Gold, silver usually move higher, and they are seen as a safe haven. So we should see. We talked about this a little while ago, earlier in this talk here, that right now we've got a lot of fear in the market, which is why almost everything is trading lower today across the board. Pretty much all stocks, all commodities. There's a lot of fear, and when people are that scared, they sell everything. But fear is short-lived. It's just like when somebody jumps out and scares you. You have that adrenaline surge for a split second, and then boom, you're all calm and mellow and warm, and you can feel your heart pumping. That's what's kind of happening today. We've got that fear. Everybody just got shocked and is panicking. And tomorrow, things could be all hunky-dory. People will be like, wow, I over-exaggerated, and I'm going to buy some gold. Markets look like they're going lower. So I think tomorrow in the next few days, I think we could see the safe havens firm up and move higher, which they've started to today. They are still trading lower, but I mean from the panic selling that happened this morning in the markets, gold and silver miners have recovered from those lows, and they're starting to move up. So I think people are starting to kind of have this fear wear off them. If you look at the ratio on the NYSE from this morning till now, it's already dropped halfway, meaning that fear is dissipating very quickly. And I think tomorrow we see the safe havens probably start to firm up and continue to move a bit higher.
Chris, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Hey, always a pleasure, Jim.
My guest has been Chris Vermeulen, his website, thegoldandoilguy.com. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet. Our popular YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Questions for the show or our guests can be sent to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.